Biden came out. A Joe Biden that I think Joe Biden did not think he would ever see, which is Joe Biden standing there talking about how MAGA Republicans, which, by the way, is a lot of Republicans, have become semi-fascists, that they're in the thrall of autocracy, you know, and the after effects of that speech were complicated for Joe Biden, right? I mean, there are Republicans who watched that and said, you have forsaken the grand old party. You're not the leader of the entire country. This is outrageous. They fundraised off of it. The more you use pointed language against Republicans, the more you troll them, the more you take it to their doorsteps. I think that's probably good for Democratic policies and priorities and politics. But what does it do to the ability of anyone to bridge a gap between left and right? Does that even matter anymore? Is that a fool's errand?
At the moment, is my humble opinion. And I think the president's learned it the hard way. I mean, he's hardwired for a different world, but that world is gone. And he's acknowledged that very publicly on multiple occasions. But you're right, I think it's very hard for him because his decency, his honor, his character, his moral persuasion. I mean, he thought all those things, those were tools in his toolkit. It's who he is at his core. He wants to compromise. He wants to find our better angels, and he wants to find that sweet spot in terms of advancing our collective vision and values. But that's not how this system is designed. That's not what the Supreme Court represents right now. That's not what all these redistricting efforts and the voting suppression efforts represent right now. It's not what all the rights that are being rolled back in real time. Boy, my mom were still alive. She'd be very upset with me for leaning in. I'm just like, I'm in some ways I'm glad she's not. She's like, you just have to model better behavior. Well, we've been doing that, and people are losing their rights. People are losing their rights. I can't sit back. You got to push back. We got to hold them accountable. And yes, we prepare ourselves for the great reconciliation. And that's to come because we can't.
You think? Really?
For no other reason, we can't live like this. And at the end of the day, we run into each other at the grocery store. It's like, we see each other at the soccer games.
I just wonder if we are going to be sharing the soccer field and the grocery store aisles. I mean, the tit for tat between you and Governor Abbott, and to some degree you and Governor DeSantis, is you guys come live over here, you guys live over there. And I wonder if that does worry you, this sorting of people into red states and blue states, which will even further deepen partisan divides. I mean, is that a good outcome for the country?
No, it's not a good outcome because at the end of the day, you can't wall each other off. You just can't. I mean, now you could geofence yourself off on social media and live in that parallel universe. But at the end of the day, we all share the same, a lot of same things in common, right? One short life with pretty limited wisdom, small world, and we're going to breathe the same air. And at the end of the day, we're going to rise and fall together.
How do you capture that shared humanity? How do you bring people back to the things that tie us together rather than the things that separate us, if you also want Democrats to go on the offensive and be angry and be motivated by the fear that the walls are closing in and that freedoms we have basically taken for granted for the last 50 years may be evaporating for our eyes?
I mean, we've got a situational responsibility to meet this moment and be as aggressive as possible situationally, and then we have to have a sustainable mindset in terms of winning these larger debates. You can't win fleeting victories at other people's expenses.
Have you talked to DeSantis or Abbott?
Abbott, where I thanked him a few years ago on multiple occasions for helping us in mutual aid with wildfires. Didn't play any politics, and I would never play politics if he ever needed anything along those lines. DeSantis, no. Most of the Republican governors have great relationships with, spent time with them. In fact, some of my more close Republican colleagues are Republicans.
Some of your best friends are Republican.
And of course, family of Republicans. So I've had an interesting life, in that respect, and the awkward conversation around an ex-wife.
Yes, an ex-wife, Kimberly Guilfoyle, who's definitely not a Democrat anymore.
No.
Do you ever talk to her?
Nope, not lately.
It must be weird for you.
Yeah, of course. So you have, but you also understand, and that created, we had a different relationship with Trump when I was governor as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we had an interesting, not as competitive relationship. Even though we went at it on a lot of issues, we also found ways to get along. So I say all that for no other reason. It's essential that we find those spaces.